All right, hello everyone, and welcome to today's Gems of War video. In this video, I have for you my scouting report for Pridelands Week, which will begin on June 17th, 2024. You can see Pridelands just kind of west by northwest of Broken Spire. And in the underworld, you can see me collecting my hourly thing, but in Drachit's Palace, right over here, just to the west of Fire Rift and the big volcano. So let's go ahead and talk about Pridelands and in Drachit's Palace. So Pridelands is a fire kingdom, and its skill point bonus is attack. The combination of a fire kingdom and attack is probably going to make you think that this should be leveled up sooner rather than later. And if that's what you're thinking, you are probably correct. This is a really good kingdom to level to 20, partially because its maximum power is already capped at 30. And in addition, the Sun Spear class is very useful. If it is fully traded, your hero will create a firestorm at the start of every turn. It's one of the few classes that are out there where the hero can create a storm at the start of every turn. So that makes the Sun Spear class extremely useful. As for the tradestone is the Arcane Rage tradestone. It is the pure red tradestone, and unfortunately it is only available in Pridelands. So, and since it's the pure red tradestone, that means that it'll be a little bit harder to grind for any of the fire tradestones during Pridelands Week. So you'll have to go get your minor, major, and runic fire tradestones from a kingdom where you only have a 50% chance of getting it versus a much better chance at Pridelands, or you can just wait a week. In Drachit's Palace is a restriction of red or purple, which is a pretty good restriction, pretty easy one to kind of push your way through. The troops in Drachit's Palace, I would say, are mostly going to be useful if you're going for the pure faction for Drachit's Palace. Otherwise, they aren't that useful outside of the pure faction run, so you can very much afford to wait on those if you are trying to get other troops from other factions. So let's go ahead and talk about the troop dispersion for Pridelands, since Pridelands is already at the power cap. So once we begin Pridelands Week, we'll have 41 troops available to us. 34 Pridelands troops are available in the just drop tables, including 4 mythics. 4 of them are in Drachit's Palace portal, and no, Drachit's Palace has not been expanded yet, so there will be another one coming. There is 1 tarot card that is available in the vault drop table, and as we begin Pridelands Week, we'll be adding 2 more troops to the game. One of them will be of course the Glory Shop troop, which will automatically be added to all the chest drop tables. And the second one will be a new siege breaker that will be only available in the shop for a couple weeks, and then for a few weeks, and then by the time we get another invasion, that one will be available in all of the chest drop tables. So as I kind of mentioned, that we are looking at an invasion event for this week. The restriction is most likely going to be Raksha. There's no reason to suspect it will be otherwise. We'll also be getting a new base legendary troop from Nexus, and the important part of this is that the additional legendary troop is going to take Nexus's maximum power from 19 to 20, which means that you'll be able to get a skill point if you can get Nexus up that far. Generally speaking, you'll probably be able to look at the Nexus troops that you're missing and see how close you are to getting that, or whether you need to wait until Nexus week comes around. And but yes, overall there's 2 base mythics in Nexus. I believe that Nexus also has a tarot card, but I don't remember if there's anything else that is particularly difficult to get. Of course, there's also the faction troops, but those I don't think that those are as hard to get as the ones in the regular drop tables. And for the weekend, we'll have a bounty event, and we're expecting to get a bounty hunter from Glacial Peaks. That bounty hunter will increase Glacial Peaks maximum power from 28 to 29. And from there, we'll be looking for pretty much one more troop to get it to cap. So anyway, that is everything there. So let's take a look at our Core 4 and 4 more lists. So the Core 4 list, as usual, is the list of troops that make the Trials team. We've got the Ruby Giant, which is base Epic, Spirit Main, which is base Ultra Rare, Behemoth, which is your base Legendary, and Second Claw Anhur, which is a base Epic. So nothing. So Behemoth is probably going to be the hardest one to get. My recommendation is if you are starting Pridelands week and you're missing one or more of these, then open up event chests until you get all 4 of them, or you're out of event key. I do recommend getting the Core 4 team together as quickly as possible, because you get a lot of resources from completing the different trials, as well as once you get to the epic trials, you can unlock a pet that is very, very important in the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 4 more list. And this, keep in mind, is not an actual team. So do not try to make this team. You'll be very disappointed. But these are the 4 additional troops I would recommend that you keep an eye out for. I don't usually recommend base commons, but Bandit has a very interesting strategy that I see a lot of people use. And to use the strategy, you have to do something very specific with the Bandit. And that is when you pay for trades, if you pay for any of them. A lot of people do not pay for the 3rd trade, which makes him stealthy. And what this does, and the reason why I see that they don't tend to do that, is that if he is not stealthy, that means that you can put him on a team with a lot of other troops that are stealthy. And that means that if the opponent is going to target you, then he has to target the bandit if the bandit is not stealthy and is the only one that is not. So if you have already paid for stealthy like I have, unfortunately that strategy is no longer available to you, but if it's not too late, it is something you can do. And keep in mind, we do have a little bit of latitude with our with our collections from Pridelands. So this may not be one of the ones that you absolutely need to try. Anyway, moving on to Rift Links, another lower rarity troop than what I normally recommend, but Rift Links is a bounty hunter and does have stealthy, of course. And what's most important about this, and you can go ahead and buy all 3 traits for Rift Links, he does true damage to an enemy and knocks them to last position. When you are doing bounty hunter events, you are very limited to what you can use if you're going for a pure bounty hunter team. All of the bounty hunters are going to be base level rare, so there are a few really, really good ones, and Rift Links is one of them. So I do recommend that you get this to level 20. You'll get both Rift Links and the Bandit to level 20 just by opening the gold chests, which are a dime a dozen. So don't break the bank trying to get him. But yes, this is a good way to make progress in the bounty hunter event if you're going for an all bounty hunter team. Now, the third one I'm going to recommend is very specific to the upcoming Pridelands week, and that is Kartek the Climber. Kartek the Climber gains 3 to all skills if in the first position, has a 20% chance to dodge skull damage, and is a siege breaker that deals 3 to 5 times skull damage versus towers based on her ascension. You can see that I already have her at level 20. I also have her at gold. Gold is not absolutely necessary, but if you have it, that's great. What I like about this is since we're probably going to get another Raksha Siege Breaker, you can use Kartek in combination with the other Siege Breaker. And this will do 2 things. Number one, it's going to give you an opportunity to have 2 Rakshas that are unique in addition to possibly other Rakshas on your team. You have to use Rakshas in this event, so generally speaking, you'll want to have a 3rd Raksha and possibly your hero in Sun Spear class, maybe. But the other thing is that even though the new siege breaker will have a spell that will have twice the magic during this event, which will obviously do more damage than Kartek the Climber's spell, the difference in the siege breaker trait is probably negligible. So if Kartek the Climber, for example, has a higher attack value than the new siege breaker, then you might want to just put her in first position to do skull attacks, because, like I said, the siege breaker trait is going to be the same for both of them. So it really comes down to whose attack power is higher. And of course, if you're putting Kartek the Climber in first, that gives your actual new siege breaker a little bit of a buffer so that it doesn't take damage every single time that the towers are doing damage to you. If you are going to use Kartek the Climber, make sure that you are only putting her in after the event gets to where you're facing all 4 towers, because Siege Breaker only works versus towers, won't work for anyone else, and that top slot is going to be the last slot that gets replaced by a tower. Anyway, you have 4 options for base mythics, and I do not recommend that you grind the event chests to get base level mythics. However, I did want to give a recommendation for your first Pridelands mythic. If you're searching the Soulforge for that first Pridelands mythic, my personal recommendation is going to be Ubastet. Ubastet gives all ally Rakshas 1 attack and 1 magic at the start of every turn. So I'll probably be using Ubastet as my 3rd troop in the invasion, just so that I'm getting that steady increase in attack and magic as it goes on. Ubastet does damage to the 2 weakest enemies, boosted by all ally and enemy attack. If one of the enemies dies, he automatically kills the other one. Obviously, this spell does at least the boost ratio gets slightly weaker as the battle goes on, because as you're killing the enemies, the boost ratio goes down. However, the boost ratio is 6-1, so it doesn't really give you that much of a boost. It'll give you some, but not a whole lot. But looking at the other 3 base mythics, you could really go for any of them, in my opinion. This one gives you 4 attack when matching 4 or more gems. Only gives it to Umanath herself, and she does damage to an enemy boosted by all their skills, and if the enemy dies, she gains 10 attack and creates 12 skulls. Very useful, maybe not for the invasion event, but still very useful. And then Aravatar converts 2 yellow gems to death mark gems when his turn begins, and he does true damage to an enemy boosted by his life. This is one of the few times that having a high amount of life is actually important. If the enemy dies, explode all death mark gems, which, if you're patient and allow a lot of death mark gems to populate the board, that can be a lot of death mark gems. But overall, if you go for any of those as your first Pridelands Mythic, and then one of those as your second Pridelands Mythic, you're going to be just fine. Leave this base Mythic alone. If you already have them, great. If not, it's not that big of a deal. All right, moving on to the weapons, and keep in mind that Pridelands is already capped at 30 power, so you'll want to walk out of this week with at least 14 of these weapons, so that you can level them up as you go along. Even if you can't level them up right now, it's good to have 14. Keep in mind that we will be getting a new weapon that will be added to this that you'll get from the Invasion shop or from the Soul Forge, but most likely from the Invasion shop. I'll just go through a couple weapons that stand out as far as the legendaries. So Twin Claws is one of those weapons that explodes a bunch of gems, green gems in this case, grants a random status effect to all beast allies, and then summons beast troop. You probably won't use this weapon with Pridelands teams often. There are some beasts in Pridelands, but it's one that you'll probably save when you're fielding a beast team in another restriction. Rope Dart is a weapon that a lot of people like. You'll probably have someone in your guild that is going to be reminding everyone to get the Rope Dart as quickly as possible. It is kind of like the weapon that we just saw in Zejin, but it is a pretty good one. I do recommend getting that one. That shouldn't be one of the ones that you leave behind. Andrachit's Claw is the weapon that you can get from Andrachit's Palace during the faction assault on Tuesday. It is okay. It is fine. It does true damage to the last enemy, boosted by red and purple gems, and conjures a Hellstorm. Hellstorm is red and purple, so that is it can be a nice one, but it's a very, very situational and niche weapon. So if you don't want to ante up for this one, you don't have to. Let's see what other ones. Cat's Paw is a good one. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by Pridelands allies. Creates a mix of 6 green and red gems for each Pridelands ally. You know that I like those. Also, we have the Blackmane's Claw, which does damage to an enemy boosted by Raksha allies. Creates a mix of 6 red and brown gems for each Raksha ally. The one you'd want between those two as you're making a team is probably going to be whether it's more important to have red and brown, or if it's more important to have green and red. So one or the other. A quick note on the Broken Guard. The Broken Guard is a ingredient for Dawnbringer. However, this one is available at all times, so if you cannot get the Broken Guard now, don't worry, it will be there when you want it. And also we have the Beastly Bow. I almost missed this one. It deals damage to enemy boosted by beast allies and creates a mix of 6 green and yellow for each beast ally. Again, not as useful for Pridelands, but is useful for other teams. The class weapon is the Flame Soul, which you choose a mana gem and you do a certain amount of damage to each enemy of that color and burn them. And then you give all allies of that matching color for attack. You'll probably choose the mana gem based on your allies more so than the more so than the damage, because because stacking attack is pretty much what Pridelands likes to do. If you do, that said, I don't use this weapon too often, even in Pridelands teams. So it's you'll get this one anyway once you get 250 wins with the Sun Spear class, and you will get 250 wins with the Sun Spear class. The Doomed Dagger is the only doomed weapon that's available in Pridelands, and this is the red doomed weapon that does damage to the last enemy and has a chance to kill that enemy. Obviously, these weapons are really only useful if they're fully tempered, so that you get that maximum chance for the instant kill. Keep in mind, though, that this does not work against the Dooms, and they are occasionally in last place. They also won't work on any bosses that happen to be immune to fatal damage. So just be aware of that. But other than that, this is a good roll of the dice weapon if you happen to temper it. I don't think I'll be tempering this one anytime soon. But anyway, let's wrap things up with a quick look at the pets that are available in Pridelands. So the most important one, of course, is going to be the Chimera. You have the regular version, which gives you a team bonus in Pridelands, and you have the Starry Chimera, which is what you get by completing the Epic Trials, and it gives you another team bonus for Pridelands that stacks right on top of the other. Son of Tau gives you a team bonus for all Raksha, so this could help you out a little bit in the invasion, although I would say Chimera and the Kingdom boost will always give you more bang for your buck, so to speak. There's a lot of International Cat Day or whatever cosmetics in this list. Small Deer is a very extremely niche PvP pet. It gives you a team bonus for orcs in Broken Lands. I would say that I would highly doubt that the Dark Order will ever give us an orc restriction or even a Groshnak restriction. So this pet is probably going to be as cosmetic can be, and I think that it even costs gold marks, which you should not be using for PvP pets anyway. And then finally, we've got the Hell Kitty. The Hell Kitty is the faction pet for Indrachit's Palace, so it gives you a team bonus for their teams. Of course, if you can get this leveled up a little bit before you get to doing your Pure Faction 500, it might help you out a little bit. Might make it a little bit easier. And I remember Indrachit's Palace was pretty. I felt like it required more luck than it did skill, if that makes any sense. Anyway, that's the end of my scouting report for Pridelands. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe to this channel, and or follow me on Twitch if you'd like to see more of my content. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Pridelands Week. Are you excited for anything? But yeah, just let me know everything I got wrong too, and I'll see you in the next video.